320 horsepower V8 engines, reaching speeds of up to 270 kilometers per hour. Drivers will battle across 5 South American circuits. A push-to-pass system boosting the engines up to 50 horsepower guarantees close racing for every position. Who will be crowned the champion?
Hello and welcome one and all. Here we are for the final round of the Virtual Stock Car Championship here at Race Department. It has come around here, round 5 at the Rio de Janeiro circuit. And I'll tell you what, it is going to be one absolutely fascinating way to finish this. What has been an amazing season already. And of course, back with me for the final round after being absent last round is the one and only RJ O'Connell. Say hello, sir.
Oh, hello, and this is going to be an absolute treat. We have had 4 exciting rounds in this championship, and what better place to end the Virtual Stock Car Championship Season 3. We have 8 drivers still mathematically eligible for this championship, and we're going to stage this final race at one of the all-time legendary racing circuits in Rio de Janeiro, a track with great history and a list of winners that reads like a who's who in the world of motorsports.
Indeed, and that should be a good way to segue into our little video of the track, and that should be playing right about now. The start of round 5, final round of the Virtual Stock Car Championship as we head into turn 1 here. 12 corners of this track. Start with turn 1 here. It's a big, long, sweeping right-hander. Medium speed, as you can see, as you're running out wide now. As you head into turn 2, you want to flick it right and then use the red on the outside there so you can get the best entry as you can into turn 2. There's a short little straight here towards turn 3, another medium speed left-hander here, and then it's on towards this little straight again down towards turn 4. And also linking corners there in that early sector as you come down through here, and flick it left there for turn 4. Pretty fast corner there, very easy to go wide and use too much of the track. Then to turn 5, difficult braking areas, you're still turning as you brake. And turn 6 here, another sweeping left-hander, which heads down the long back straight here at this circuit. A very, very long back straight. This is going to be where the prime overtaking will probably be down towards turn 7. This is a lot of time to slipstream up behind the car ahead. Circle also 5.03 kilometers long. As that down towards turn 7 here, big sweeping right left-hander. Very probably going to be the prime chance for overtaking as the race is going with the chance to slipstream down that back straight. You can see a really long corner here as it heads towards turn 8. Little kink to the right here. And as you can see, using the lip strip on the inside and the outside, use all the road you can, and then head towards turn 9. Now flick it right, then left for turn 9 here. On towards turn 10, another tight left-hander here, another slow corner on this circuit, and probably another prime overtaking opportunity throughout races. Head towards turn 11 here, another left-hander after another short straight. And then after that is the final corner on the circuit, turn 12. A big sweeping right-hander, another sort of medium to lower speed corner, sort of a big hairpin here as you head towards it, and again another spot which will probably see some overtaking as the race happens. And it'll be interesting to see how these guys handle this track, as there's, as you can see, quite a long circuit and quite technical too, which is going to really challenge the drivers. And you should see the championship standings just popping up in front of your screens right now. And it is still Gus Verver leading. He is ahead by 9 points of Nascimento, still there in that second place despite that less than ideal last round. And you've got Austin Ognoski, wow, I hashed about that, but anyway, Ognoski's in 3rd for Walk 2 Racing, actually beating Captain at the moment, who's in 4th, but there he is in 4th for Stoke Captain. Remember how far behind he was at the start over 2. There he is in 4th, so keep an eye on him here in this final round. Sergio Jr. is 5th, only 3 points behind. That's Miguel Lopez in the GhostSpeed Racing in 6th. Dos Santos still holds on to 7th, despite a couple of less than ideal rounds for the round 3 and 4. John Higgin is 8th for Niso Velix, and then it's Paul Joseph, the Mighty 4. Daniel Lee, they're both equal there. And that's a bit of a gap back to Vinieri, and then Stinging there in 13th. And they're the top 10. And then in terms of the team championship, it's actually Walk Racing leading by, I believe, 90 points right now over GhostSpeed. So they have a big lead. And at this point, it's pretty hard to see anyone but Walk winning that team championship. And then it's GhostSpeed, Walk 2 Racing, Nito Velix, and the Mighty 4th. And there are your standings as we just went through them there. And now we are just going to the next session. I believe it should be qualifying, if I'm not wrong. I'd say it's going to be something to see how this goes, RJ, because it's all built up so far, and then we've come to the final battle, as it were, here at the final round. And as you said, it could be any one of 8 drivers could possibly win this. But who do you think's your pick at the moment?
Well, I have been very impressed with some of the driving that I've seen from Gus Verver over the course of the season. He's been so consistent. He's never really put a wheel wrong all this season, and it shows because he's leading the points, but it has closed up. Risto Capit has won the last 2 rounds. Pound for pound, he may be the fastest driver on the circuit. He has come back from a long way down. Remember, he started this season in Server 2, could not maximize his points thusly, and he is now all the way up into 4th. And if something happens to any of the other drivers up in front of him, he could very well end up taking the championship from all the way back there. Of course, Sergio Jr. actually entered this race 5th in the championship, was the quickest man in the pre-qualifying practice session. So it could be a number of drivers here. We should expect a pole time at around 1 minute 48 seconds around this 4.9 kilometer track. I personally, they've got a lot of great drivers out here. I'd say it's too close to call, but by the end of this session, I do think that my money's on Gus Verver to leave with the championship.
Indeed. Sorry, just a moment there as Risto Capit just had to re-enter the game there at Pluggy DC, and he took a bit of a dangerous entry. That was in front of one of the GhostSpeeds. I'm just trying to pick who that is. Who is that? Was it Lopez or was that Junior? I think it might have been Lopez, but yeah, interesting bit of a rejoin there. It was quite a just put it out there and then just give him a bit of a whack on pit exit. I don't think it was too severe though, so it should be okay, but that was a bit unnecessarily severe there. But anyway, this is a little something I noticed as I was looking through the drivers. But as you said, I will agree that I think Gus Verver's got to be the favourite at this point, because he, as you say, has rarely put a foot wrong, if ever, this whole season. You know, if he's not winning, he's there in the top 3 or top 5. So he just looks so consistent and so comfortable to me, and he's looked like the one who's been sort of under the least pressure, as it were, with just the way he drives. He's just always got the car in the right spot, not really making many mistakes. Just really the championship winner kind of style. You know, he's got that. Not just, you don't just take the wins, you get the 3rds, you get the 5ths, you get the 2nds, you get all those ones that back up those wins that you get. So I believe he might actually be the first on lap too. I'm pretty sure he was the first exit pit lane. I'm pretty sure he'll be the first. Oh, hello. There's a little bit of a
Yeah, that was a big slide from Verver.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was just a big wee bit of drift, but I'm sure that Davy probably had the camera on him too. So there's a mistake. We found a mistake. It's okay. We found one mistake that he's done this season, but it's going to be interesting. And I'll tell you what, I've been interested to see Dos Santos as well. How he... Oh, actually, no, that's right. He's not in the server, is he? Oh, no, there he is. Yes, there he is. Sorry. I almost didn't see his name. I was like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, I'm interested to see how Dos Santos goes, because obviously he's still in the top 10, but the last couple of rounds he's been a bit below par, Jack.
Oh, yes, indeed. But remember, he has gritted out some very good results. Remember, Dos Santos has admittedly had his struggles in qualifying. He's usually qualifying about midfield or even towards the back of the pack. But in those first 3 rounds I saw, he's been able to really just persevere and get some solid results. And that is, of course, why he sits way up there in the championship standings. Now, we are going to have a couple of notable names out of this field. Daniel Lee is absent. He's currently tied for 10th in the championship with Ryan Seltzer. Rafael Zanardi was actually relegated out after the last round in Cordoba, so he'll finish the season in Server 2. And there's a long list of names that will change in this primary server from the previous round. We will get to that in a second, as some of your front runners are just now completing their first hot laps.
Indeed, no, and Gus Verver, as I said, I'm pretty sure he's the first one to complete a lap. If I remember correctly, I swear he's the first out of pit lane, so he'll be the first to set the benchmark, which is, seeing he's in the championship lead, it really does blend well. It's almost like it was scripted as he goes a bit wide there on the ribbon strip there, a little bit wider, did just notice, on his run here, so I suspect this lap won't be the fastest he could do. Although he's using a lot of the track, but, you know, that's obviously what you want to do, maximise that track. It's actually Nascimento's first do lap. Terribly sorry, it was my bad there. Didn't see him go out, but a 48.153 is his lap as a benchmark. I'm sure he can improve on that, as these are just first laps, almost sighting laps in a way. As here comes Verver now. He goes to a 48.213, so Nascimento has it for the time being, but of course that will change as Vandevenne there in the walk-to racing. He just exits pit lane. He's also one, by the way, who wasn't going to be in the server originally, but then thanks to absences, he got promoted up into Server 1, so with a later appearance from him. He is there now. And that's interesting. I'm interested to see, look at that, 49.277, 1 second off is Aston Cow. That's a gap. As, oh, look at that, there goes Risto Capit now. There's a 48.266, but as Junior, there you go, Junior now to the top with a 48.031, but that is interesting. I'm interested to see that Fabio's so far behind. That gap seems to be larger than I was expecting.
For most of this season, Sergio Jr. out of the 4 GhostSpeed Racing Group cars he's been the quickest driver of the bunch. He was quickest in this pre-qualifying practice session that was held just before we started this 15-minute qualifying session. And now he is provisionally on pole as we have about 10 minutes left. He has got the top time with a 1 minute 48.031. But of course, there is still plenty of running to be had in this qualifying session.
And Dino, plenty of time for time to go down and for them to be beaten. Lopez is at the back at the moment. That's because I suspect his lap was compromised. And, speaking of laps being compromised, just gone off the long left-hander now. So there'll be that lap compromised as well, making a little bit of a mistake down there. So a bit of a shame for him. And as we mentioned in the championship, he's in the top 10. And mathematically, he has a chance to win. But I wouldn't say he is really in there when you think about it. But Nascimento takes the pole now, 47.884. So there you go, into the 47s, the first man to do it. I wonder how many more follow, RJ.
It could be quite a lot, and there is the Brazilian in the Brazilian stock cars. He's been the top front runner from his country, and he is broken into the sub 148s for the first time this afternoon. And it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the field will be able to match his pace. It looks like he's going to abort this lap. And I'll tell you something, this Rio de Janeiro circuit, it's a circuit that unfortunately no longer stands with Rio preparing for the World Cup and the Summer Olympics. But it is a very, very historic racetrack, and Racer Studios has done a fantastic job of recreating this facility. Look at this. Risto Capit now up to 1 minute 47.561. So he's looking for 3 wins in a row to maximize his chances of taking the championship. He has certainly responded with that lap time.
Yeah, that is, wow, that's just a big old stamp of, yeah, try and beat that now, lads. That is massive, really. 3/10 is a huge margin, especially considering how close they've had it all season. So I wonder if they'll find that pace. I wouldn't be too surprised if they at least get close, but still, that is a big old gap that he's just pumped out there with that lap. 3/10 clear. It's interesting to note as well that the top 4, they're 4/10 off, and that's a bit of a gap back to Aston Cow. He's 5/10 off, and that's another gap. About 7/10 back to Ognoski. So it's interesting to see that the gaps are a lot bigger, it seems, here than they have been at previous rounds. I mean, to be fair, this is a longer track compared to what we've had from earlier in the season. But it's interesting to see. You know, we used to really close gaps, but here it's a lot more spaced out, which is, you know, it's a bit different from what we've seen throughout the rest of the season. So I wonder if they'll close up. There's still plenty of time. We're pretty much only just getting to the halfway point right about now, about 7.5 minutes to go. But yeah, it's interesting to see. Just have a look through the order now. It's obviously Risto Capit at the moment has provisional pole from Nascimento. That's Berber Jr., Aston Cow Ognoski, Van Overen there in the Redshift Racing. He's 7th. That's good from him. Stinging again in the top 10 once more, showing good pace in that Dutch veteran racing car. Paul Watkins from Mighty Fourth is currently 9th. And there's John Higgin, the sole survivor Nito Velix, is in 10th. And that's your top 10. But yeah, Risto Capit continues to be the top man here, but it's very close behind him. Look at that, under a 10th between Nascimento and Verba.
It is really heating up in this qualifying session. We have just under 7 minutes to go. Risto Capit looking for the pole position, and more importantly, looking for that 3rd consecutive win this season. And that would be a huge boost. Whoop.
Yeah, look at that, the Sergio Jr. He just goes to the top now. He does a 47.557, 5 thousandths of a second. Faster than Risto. You can't get much closer than that. So there you go, Sergio Jr. once again showing great pace. So he's done it already this season. We have seen him, you know, improving, I must say. I mean, last round, of course, he was up the front for most of the race until he had those pit stop dramas, which dropped him back. But you know, last round he was right up there, and he could have been, I think, he could have been challenging for the win if it hadn't been for those pit dramas. But you know, here he is again. He's got the pace once more. It was an interesting place he stopped there. But yeah, he's got it there by 5 thousandths of a second. Risto going to respond. He doesn't beat it there on that lap. So there you go. So he keeps it for the moment. But I mean, you said Junior, he's got the pace. You know, he's shown that he can take it to the guys at the front, and there he is in provisional pole.
Right, and that lead margin to the pole, though, is only 5/1000ths of a second. But I'll tell you, Sergio Jr. is only fifth in the standings, but he's 29 points back. If anything can happen, he's certainly not out of reach of the championship just yet. With a big win here, he could throw a huge wrench into some of the front runners' plans. So it's Sergio Jr. up on top. We have 5.5 minutes to go. Risto Capita second, Nato Nascimento third, Gus Ververs fourth, and Fabio Asuncao is fifth.
Indeed, and there your standings at the moment. Also interesting to note, I'll just give a little bit of a nice result, a nice time so far is from Paul Watkins, mighty fourth and sixth, and Paul Joseph is 11th. So this is looking like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of time to go, and there is a big gap between Asuncao and Watkins. It's about 9/10 between fifth and sixth, which is just an interesting note. But if he stays there, that'll be, provisionally, it would be his best qualifying result. And mighty fourth, they've been there or thereabouts all season long. They haven't been, in the top 5 yet. I don't know if they've got a top 10 result just yet, but they've been there or thereabouts. They've been consistent point scorers. That shows in the team championship, as I mentioned it before, I believe in the top 5. So, some good results for mighty fourth at the moment. They're looking pretty good for this round, especially Watkins. Looks like he's got some nice pace there. Ognoski is 7th, which I find interesting. He's been pretty much on the leader's pace all season, but he's 1.6 off here. So, I don't know, it seems like Ognoski, maybe this isn't his track. He's just not able to find the pace that he has previously in the season, RJ.
Right, indeed, but of course there is still plenty of time, though it is kind of worrying for his championship chances that he is seeming to struggle to find the pace here. As Risto Capit on this lap, he's side by side with a pack marker car. That was a bit of an interesting exchange, but he's still on it, still trying to find those missing 5/1000ths of a second that would put him on the pole position. Either way, as it stands, he looks to sit on the front row for this final race of the season, which would give him a leg up on some of the drivers up ahead of him, including Nascimento, Verver, and Ognoski, the only 3 drivers who sit ahead of him in this championship, but it is a 26-point deficit. It will not be easy to claw back, even if he wins.
Indeed, no, as that's very true. As I just saw someone move, but that was just me seeing things, so as I almost got excited there. But one thing I am finding interesting is actually the gap between, 9th and 12th, or 9th and 13th even. It's pretty much a 10th from those 5 positions from Van Overen down to Anders Nielsen there. They're all within a very close time of each other, and then there's a few other little spots throughout the field where it's the same sort of story. So, and it's been like this throughout the season. You've had the localized kind of close battles throughout the field, but it is interesting how sort of that gap is there. 9/10 between 5th and 6th. So we might end up having a bit of a story here where we'll have the top 5 kind of galloping away, and then we'll have another sort of pack behind them, and another pack behind those guys, and it might be a little bit sort of segregated throughout the field, which I find interesting. Also interesting is Razvan there in the second Walk 2 racing car. He's apparently had 9 laps according to my screen, but he hasn't actually set a time, which is interesting to note. And also Sam Smith's the other one who's yet set a time, but I think he disconnected earlier in the session, so he's had a little less time than designed, I would suspect, to get that time. But still no changes at the moment. Seems like everyone's struggling to find any more pace in these cars. But yeah, interesting stuff so far. There's a few people mixed around. Lopez is another one, as we mentioned. He's in the top 10, but where was he? He was down the field last I checked, but he's got himself at 7th, right? He was down at about 24th last I checked, but he's obviously found some pace. But again, he's still 1.6 off the lead. He's down there with Ognoski, so this is really interesting. It's just a bit different from what we used to. As I said, mighty fourth, they're showing some good pace. You're going to have Van Overen up there. You've got Stieng up there again as well. Segal's up there, so yeah, it's a bit different, I think, for this round. Some guys that we're used to having pace that aren't really showing it so far.
Right, and of course we're looking at less than 2 minutes to go here. There's still plenty of time left in this session, and what is going to be a very fascinating qualifying to end this season. And then, of course, we have the 50-minute feature race. We have just about time for one more lap for some of the front runners. It's still Sergio Jr. on provisional pole position. We've still got to see if Risto Capit has anything more in that number 88 Chevrolet. This track, of course, has a ton of famous winners. In Formula One, names like Alain Prost, Nigel Mansell, and Nelson Piquet have taken the honors. In IndyCar and the oval track, you have the likes of Alex Zanardi, Paul Tracy, and the late Greg Moore have won here. In motorcycles, Valentino Rossi, Mick Doohan, and the late Norick Abe have won races here. All the way up to the final winner, Caca Bueno of Blockpain GT fame. A former stock car champion, was the last winner at this track before it was closed in 2012. But we're starting to see the virtual counterpart of this track it may yet produce another historic result. Risto Capit is completing a lap here. Let's see where he comes out here. What's he got in this lap?
Let's have a look. It is not enough. He doesn't improve, and he does enough for another lap, although, well, there you go, he calls it. So there you go. So at this point, the next man on the lap is Asenkawa, because all the guys, Verva and Nito, have, although interesting, Risto's going back out. I don't know if he realizes he won't have enough time, but that isn't interesting. I don't know, he stopped it now. Obviously, he might be doing a practice start, perhaps. But yeah, interesting to see as Nascimento, Junior is still going around. Also, Verva did jump Nascimento, by the way. I did notice that. He just jumped him. So he's now third, Nascimento down to fourth, and Ognoski's up to sixth. So he found a little bit more pace in that car, and he's jumped Paul Watkins there for sixth. But still, Paul Watkins, seventh place, which if he can keep that, will be a season best for Mighty Fourth, which is good stuff for them. They finish on a strong note. I'm sure they'll be very happy with that. All those two, as who was that? Someone just moved. I think it was Seagal, maybe just finding a spot, I think it was. Or it could have actually been, no, it was Stinging, I think, just jumping Van Overen there for that night spot. But I think we're looking like, I reckon that's going to be the order. Junior's just gone across, he hasn't improved, so he's done. Looks like Asenkawa is done as well, so the next one is Watkins. So I think that will pretty much do us. Time is out, so you've just got to finish your lap now, and that is it. But I think that we've pretty much got our order. So it looks like Sergio Jr. will be on pole position here for the GS Racing, even. It's not even the main GhostSpeed team. In this final round of the championship, John Higgin there just improves to 10th at the last minute, so good stuff from him. And who was that? Someone just improved. Oh, look at that. Paul Watkins replies to Oknowski and jumps him again. Gets sixth back. So good stuff from Watkins there. A good little fight back, but there you go. So that pretty much completes the qualifying session. And here you go. Here is our order. I'll do the top 10, then RJ, you can do the next 10. I'll do the rest. So we'll do a nice little order there. But it is Sergio Jr. who is on pole from 5 thousandths of a second from Risto Capit. Amazingly close between those two, and that's going to be interesting to see how they go throughout the race. Gus Verva in third again. There he is again. He's there once more. If he's not on pole, he's right behind it, so another good result for Verva. Nascimento is fourth. He's back on pace again after being a bit off the pace last round. Fabio Asenkawa is fifth for GhostSpeed, and then it is Paul Watkins, as I said there, for sixth for Mighty Fourth, and a season best qualifying result for them, so that's good stuff from him. Ognoski ends up being seventh for Walk 2 Racing, a bit off the pace from him compared to where he's been for the season prior to or season up to this point, sorry, in this season. So some interesting stuff there. Lopez in eighth for GhostSpeed, then it's Stinging for Dutch Veteran Racing, and rounding the top 10 is John Higgin and the sole surviving Nito Velix.
In row 6 will be the two Redshift Racing cars with Frank Van Overen and Tal Siegel in that row. Row 7th will be Paul Joseph in the second Mighty Fourth car. He starts next to Anders Nilsson, the Swedish independent. In row 8, there's the Walk 2 Racing car of Razvan Erichuk, starting next to Angelo Dos Santos, who enters this race 7th in the championship. In row 9, it's Ryan Seltzer from the United States. He's 10th in points next to Theo Vanderbrink in the second Dutch Veteran Racing car. On row 10, it's going to be Alan Groth in the second Copenhagen Apex car, next to Yari Vinari in the Honey Badger Racing Machine.
Indeed, and it's Vito Sosa there in the remaining GS Racing car in 21st, and Marco Conti for FSM Motors in 22nd. Genzi Esteban as the independent is 23rd. Jeff Lasecki there is another independent in 24th. A lot of independents here at the back end of the field, but good stuff from them. Sam Smith, the Aussie in the Prime 100 car, 25th. And it's Sven Arne Anderson is 26th, another independent. And then rounding out your field is Andrew Harper in the Williams Grand Prix Engineering car in 27th. Of course, remembering his teammate was demoted, I believe, last round. Well, the round before, I think, was Craig Patterson, so that's why he's not here. There you go. There's your order as we now go through warm-up. Only about 2 minutes to go until we go to Zagreen. I don't know why I just said that with an accent, just thought I would, but it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. A lot of people close on pace. Obviously, Junior and Risto pretty much punch for punch on pace there, and then a few of the others behind, you know, Verva and Nascimento, they're only just behind. Even Asenkawa wasn't too far behind, only about half a second, but the only thing I'm thinking with Asenkawa especially is obviously this season he's been a bit inconsistent. You know, he's been a bit tail happy on sometimes. He doesn't seem to be too happy with the car, with the way it handles, I've noticed. His consistency's been his main flaw, but I'm interested to see if he can maybe bring a more consistent challenge this final round, RJ.
Right, indeed. This should be a very interesting race. We have a 50-minute feature. These cars will have 8 allotments of power to pass throughout the race, and this one is for all the marbles. There's no need to worry about relegation or promotion here. This is it. This is for the championship. Just to touch on some of the drivers we have promoted: Frank Vandevenne, Per Ockvist, Mark Breland, Jeff Lasecki, Andrew Harper, Raz Van Erichuk, and Marco Conti have all been promoted up to the field. But a couple of drivers have been relegated, including Paul Joseph, Raphael Zanardi, and Craig Pattison. Daniel Lee, who entered this race 10th in the championship. And we do want to send our thoughts to Andrew James, who is absent from this race due to a family emergency. We certainly send our best wishes to him.
Yeah, indeed, no, it's a good little point to make. Our main man, Andrew James, of course, who's done a fantastic job with this league, really, and having it running at the amazingly professional way it has been, and in tip-top shape, one of the best leagues around at the moment. And yeah, just had a family emergency today come up, which is why he isn't here to race, and a late absence, so our condolences go out to him and his family. So yeah, so I hope he'll watch this back if he's watching it live, watch it back, and I hope he'll enjoy what he sees here to finish off what has been an amazing season of the Virtual Stock Car Championship Season 3. So quickly, before we go to the race, we've got about 15 seconds. Who's your pick for this one, RJ?
Well, given the pace that I've seen, I think that Sergio Jr., if he's able to make a good start away from the grid, I think he may be able to take the final win of the season. But something still tells me that Risto Capit, he is determined to make this hard charge all the way back from the second server to the top of the championship boards. It is a tough call. I may have to flip a coin on this one. Yeah, I believe I'm going with Sergio Jr. to win this final race of the season. But either way, this should be an absolute classic that we're about to see. 50 minutes of hard racing of these V8 Brazilian stock cars at the great Rio de Janeiro circuit, a track that has seen so many legendary winners and so many legendary moments. And even though it's closed in the real world, and even though it's long been since gone in the real world, there is still time for one more moment of magic from this great track. We have just 30 seconds left to go until the start of the race, with Sergio Jr. and Risto Capit on the front row, and your top 5 in the championship are all starting within the first 4 rows of the grid. This will be fun.
Oh, indeed it will be. I'm rubbing my hands together with excitement right now. If I only had popcorn, it's the only thing I'm missing right now, a bit of popcorn to really set the scene right now for this one. But we should be about to go. Here we go. The time is out. The lights will be going, and we'll be about to go green here. The final round of the Virtual Stock Car Championship, and we are go here in the final round. Looks like they go. Junior gets a bit of a todd start there. It looks like Capit has jumped in, so he gets a much better start than Capit into turn 1. In fact, I reckon Junior's going to drop to 3rd. Look at this. Gus Verver's going to go around the outside. Is he going to make it? Oh, he's holding it around the outside. It's going to be tough to do it, but he's going to have the inside for the next corner. Oh, he's still holding it. Really great racing here, but look at Capit. Look at that. He's already got about 3 car lengths on these guys, as Nascimento has a look as well, but Verver's through. So Junior drops to 3rd, and he's looking even under pressure from Nascimento, who's getting passed by Assen Cow there. So a terrible start from Junior, which has cost him 2 spots. And there you go. It's a real shame. Capit once again getting what was pretty much the perfect start. He's done it all season long. He just seems to be an absolute ace at these starts. Behind everyone else, looks like they've gotten through. I haven't seen anyone in any accidents, although that's interesting. Sven-Arne Andersen apparently is DQ'd from the race. So I don't know what's happened there, but Sven unfortunately out already, so a shame from him in the final race of the season. But it looks like everyone has gotten through fine, and it is Risto Capit leading here in the opening stages from Gus Ververenne. It's Sergio Jr. followed by his teammate, senior teammate, mind you, Assen Cow. And it's Nascimento, Oknoski, Lopez, Watkins, all Stenging now. Stenging goes down the inside, down the straight. Watkins and then Vandevenne rounds out your top 10. But there you go. Capit once again getting the perfect start here, the final race of the season.
Right, and I was just about to say here, that was the start Capit absolutely needed. He's got Verver behind him to help out. But remember, that's not going to do him any good in terms of the championship, because Verver is still several points ahead, and the difference between first and second in terms of points payout is only 3 points. So Risto Capit's in a very tough spot here, but he's doing everything that he needs to here. He's going to be well on his way to win his 3rd race in a row. Of course, it is still many, many laps to go left in this one. So we have seen as these cars are now going to complete their very first lap here. Risto Capit is going to be out in front ahead of his teammate Gus Verver. Then it's Sergio Jr., Fabio Assen Cow, and Nato Nascimento rounding out the top 5 in this race past 1 lap.
Indeed, yes, and Verver's still right behind Capit there. He's only about half a second back, but there it's interesting. Junior holding on. They've got a bit of a gap already over Assen Cow. He's just dropped a little bit back. And there's actually quite a big gap from Nascimento to Lopez, about 2 seconds between those two, as Lopez has got Oknoski and Stinging right behind him, and then followed by Watkins in the mighty 4th coast. Dropped back a bit off the line, obviously qualified 6th, he's down in 9th at the moment. His teammate also has dropped back a bit. He was, I believe, qualified about 14th or so, I believe it was, and he's in 16th at the moment in that second mighty fourth car. One person I did notice who's dropped back and was involved in some kind of incident was Ryan Seltzer, the American Independent. He's dropped off the back. He's about 15 seconds off the back of second last man, which is Sam Smith. So I don't know what happened there, but I tried to have a look at what happened with turn one, but it was a bit of a laggy mess from Ryan, so I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but obviously had a bit of an incident, so it's a shame for Ryan, but he is still in the race. There's still time to make up that time, or that lost pace, as the leaders come through, and it's kind of as I thought. It's the top five. They've really gapped everyone else. It's behind. There's a bit of a battle going on for seventh between Ognoski, Watkins, and Stinging. Watkins just taking Stinging there down the back straight, and Anders Nielsen is not too far behind, though he's got John Higgins, on the back of him. So interesting starts here as Caput still leads, but that's not the start that Junior was wanting, and now he's just struggling to hold on, it seems. He's dropped a bit off the back now. He's almost a second behind Verver. So it's going to be interesting to see if Junior can really bring the fight here as this race goes on.
Wow, Risto Caput really pushing over these track limits here, just using all the surface on this track that he can muster to try and pull away from his teammate Gus Verver. Now we're going to be talking about the championship as they run. The difference between second and fifth in a normal race is about 6 points. At the moment, if they finish the way this was, first of all, it would be quite a brief race. But if they were to finish as they run, Gus Verver would win the title by 15 points over Nato Nascimento. And we will keep an eye on that championship battle. Like, Verver spins! Verver spins out of second place! He's got to get it going! My goodness! Unbelievable stuff here!
Oh, look at that. Verver's round, and look at that. He's dropped all the way back. He's in 10th now, so Verver's just... And we were just saying how he's just been spotless all season, and here he is, the final race of the season, the moment that you don't want to do it, and he spins, and he's down in 10th now. So, big moment for Verver. Just the one moment you don't want to do it, and he does. He's been spotless all season long. I haven't spotted a single mistake from him, and yet there it is, right when he doesn't need it, and he's in 10th now. He's behind Anders Nielsen, so he's going to have a big fight now to come back through the field, but that gifts Risto Caput now 1.3 second lead over Junior, and it's another gap back to Aston Cow and Nito Nascimento behind. So big moment for Gus Verver, but he's going to already take Anders Nielsen now down the straight. I would suspect that's one of his push to pass uses to get passes. Ooh, a bit of contact up ahead between Stinging and Watkins. That's going to hand Verver the spotter, though. A bit of contact between him as Nielsen, so he's in a bit of a scuffle here at the moment in the midfield. They're all trying to sort themselves out, but he's now on the back of Watkins, already up to 8th. So the charge begins. How far up can he go is the question. We shall see in these following laps.
And Nato Nascimento has also dropped back to 6th, so he must have had some trouble too. When they were running 4th and 10th, Nascimento and Verver, that gap had only slimmed down to 2 points. So Verver's already done well to make up some positions here, and he may actually get back ahead of Nascimento in the next couple of laps. But that was a very, very big moment, and one that could have really altered this championship race. And we're only 5 minutes in, and we've already seen some high drama. Gus Verver now on the back of Paul Watkins here. He's determined to make up these positions that he's lost from that spin. And of course, you start to push hard like this, and believe me, I don't have nearly as much sim racing experience as a lot of these drivers have in this grid. But when you start to try and compensate for mistakes, you do start to see the red mist, and sometimes that can lead to more mistakes. Whether or not Gus Verver will be able to just put that early spin behind him will be a very telling factor in how he does throughout the course of this race.
Yeah, indeed, no, it's very true. It's something I was just about to point out as well, is that when you get those sort of spins, you can really start to just get really all eaten up about and get really annoyed with yourself and all that, and just with everything that's just happened, and that can really affect your driving and just your consistency. Because one thing you need to do when you're racing, the main thing is to always keep calm. The moment you let that anger and you let that emotion take control is when you start losing time. That's where you start to really lose focus. As Nascimento, by the way, just retakes Ognoski there. He just takes 5th place back after that error that's dropped him down a couple of positions. Verver able to make the move on Watkins. He sits in behind, so that charges temporarily at a slight standstill. By the way, I did notice as well, Van Overen, he's a lap down. He had to pit. Now he's in that final last place of the runners now, after he had spin on his own in front of the field. It did cause a little bit of contact with Alan Groth. That's why he's at the back as well. So a bit of a shame for him. He was in that sort of midfield having a good run, and unfortunately just had a bit of a spin on his own, and that's now dropped into the back. So a shame for him after his return to Surfer 1. But he's still in the race. Still time to obviously come back and improve on that position. As Verver continues to try to come through, he hasn't made the move on Watkins yet. He's actually just keeping with him, but not really making the move like I thought he was. Speaking of making moves, Nascimento now moves up as Lopez has gone wide, and it's going to hand Verver 7th spot. There you go. So Lopez making a mistake that hands Verver another spot, and even a couple of other blokes there, as he was, I believe, in 4th before that mistake. So Lopez now in 8th. Verver nearly having a look at Watkins there, but not quite close enough. But yeah, I can tell you what, Verver's definitely very, very keen to get past Watkins. He's right behind him. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes that move very, very soon. But Watkins is a wily old fox. He's been around for a while. He's seen a lot in sim racing and what everyone, the tactics are. And, he's not going to make it easy, that's for sure, because he's for position. So, Watkins has every right to fight to the death this position.
You're right, indeed. That wily veteran is throwing a real wrench into this championship fight. He's proving very tough for the championship leader to get around. You mentioned that Miguel Lopez had that mistake. He was running 4th at the time. That meant that GhostSpeed group cars were running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th behind Risto Caput. Obviously no longer the case with Lopez relegated down to 8th. Also mentioning Frank Van Over in a lap down. He, of course, taking over administrative duty for the absent Andrew James. So right now, at the moment, you see Gus Verver, and he's about to try and take back. Ognoski spins. Oh, and that's his championship challenge, which has already gone bad from the start, and it has now gotten worse for the Canadian. He spins out in front of Verver, who now moves into 5th.
Indeed, no, that was a big moment there from Ognoski. He moved into 5th, by the way, as we just said there. Gus Verver, he was in 6th. He'd gotten past Watkins. I'm pretty sure he used to push to pass down the back straight, because he did look relatively easy, which tells me he must use one of his allotments of push
Oh, my
pass.
goodness, we have more trouble. Nato Nascimento has crashed out.
Oh my, this championship is just getting blown wide open. Nascimento makes a mistake here at the final round and he's gone. So I'm just looking back on the replay now to try and find it. I really have to adjust how long I have this replay because it's far too long. But let me have a look here at what happens to him. It looks suspension damage, I'm guessing, yeah, on his own. Oh, he's just used too much curb on the grass. And round he goes into the wall, so a massive shame. So another contender bites the dust. This is just fascinating stuff as Caput now leads by a second from Junior. These two have been just going along doing their own thing, by the way, while this has all been going on. Aston Cow is now 3rd. He's loving all these mistakes, and now Verver's back into 4th. So, this is just amazing stuff. Watkins now is in 5th, by the way, so this is dizzy heights for the mighty 4th. Haven't been this high all season long, but he does have Lopez right behind him. Lopez is pacey, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's really looking to go through. He's 6th, and there's Nielsen in 7th. I think this is the season best for him too. So this is amazing stuff. There's a lot of things going on in this race now as it's all kicked off. We're only 10 minutes in. We're 1/5 of the way through, ladies and gentlemen, and it has been an absolutely just amazingly exciting start to this race. Ognoski's still in 11th, by the way, and a shout out to his teammate, Razvan there, is one position behind in 12th. I think this is the season best result for him so far if he can hold on to that midfield position as, who is that? That's John Higgin and Stinging there fighting over 8th. But I tell you what, this start of the race has been unbelievable, RJ.
Oh my goodness, indeed. And you just have to feel, as these drivers are mixing it up, you have to feel for Nato Nascimento, who won earlier in the season. He has been one of the more consistent drivers. He's been up at the front of every race, and one mistake has now cost him this Season 3 championship. He won't get any points out of this for his DNF. And this means that Gus Verver is now well and truly up at the front in this championship battle. Risto Caput still has a very sizable deficit to Verver. Ognoski has struggled, and those are the only two drivers other than Caput who are really in this championship fight. So it is all gone Gus Verver's way at the moment. Of course, things can still change here, but that is an absolutely crushing blow to see Nato Nascimento spin and crash out like that in only the first 5th of this race.
Yeah, indeed. No, it's interesting stuff as we go along in this race. It's really all kicked off all of a sudden with Nascimento's retirement there. But it's been exciting, I'll say that. But it's interesting to note, by the way, that Junior are 9/10. Now he's under a second behind Caput. He's been keeping with him. He's keeping line ball. And even Aston Calbot is not really dropping too far back. And it's actually a pretty big gap back to Verver there. It's about 10 seconds between us and Cal and bit of lag, sorry. Even with the results as they are at the moment, Verver is enough ahead that he can keep the lead at the moment as Lopez there just passing Watkins into the left-hander. Again, I would suspect that might be a push-to-pass use. He did seem to get it done before the corner apex, which tells me it's probably a push-to-pass use. So Watkins now drops to 6th, but again, still a good result if he can keep it that way before the mighty 4th. His teammate, Paul Joseph, down in 15th at the moment, so not quite as far up, but still, good points for the team again, if they can keep it that way. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's interesting stuff. It's all sort of kicked off in this first part of the race, and yeah, it's just real shockers, really, I must say, with what's been happening. Or real shock moments, more precisely, with what's been happening. Verver, there he is in 4th. He's a bit further back, but he's still going. That's the key thing that you need to take notice of here. And mistakes of others has really helped him out. And suddenly there he is again in the top 5. Once more, not winning, he's in the top 5. And even if Capet wins, it'll be enough for him to take the championship. So really, the question at the moment is, can Verver hold on and not make any more mistakes and keep in that top 5? Because if he can, then he'll be our Season 3 champion of this series.
You mentioned the consistency of Gus Verver. If they finish as they do now with Risto Capet winning and Gus Verver in 4th, Risto Capet's only going to close in by 7 points. He has a 26-point deficit to make up. So you're in this very tough... It is a very tough position that the Walk Racing team is in, for sure. But, of course, they are more than thrilled to have 2 drivers up in this spot. You have one driver who has been really the quickest of all the drivers in all season, and really a driver who's been able to match the pace of that driver and just be as consistent as can be in Gus Verver, who is now well and truly in a prime spot to take this season championship. We're down to less than a second, the gap between...
Yeah, there's our cameraman, sorry to cut in, but our cameraman there just pointing out the P6 fight there between Nielsen and Watkins. Nielsen has just taken Watkins, and that was with the pushed pass, I believe. Again, I'm fairly sure that was it. Again, it was done pretty much about halfway down the straight, so I would suspect it was a power to pass use. It's interesting, I suspect Watkins must have been using it, because it seems like every time they're passing him pretty easily, which tells me that he isn't using it. So of course he can use it at any time, so he can use it as a defensive mechanism if you desire, and he's not seeming to use it, so I suspect he's kind of saving that up for the last half of the race as well. We are only 14 minutes in, keep in mind, this race. I know it seems like with all this action it would have been, half an hour gone, but we're only 14 minutes, so we're not even halfway yet. And yeah, so I suspect he may be being a bit tactical with that, just keeping that till the last half of the race, because, at the end of the day, it's being in that last 10 minutes or so is when it really, if you're in the right spot, that's where you can really gain on the people ahead. But yes, we're still going along now, 14 minutes in, and it is still Capet leading, and he has a 1.3 second gap now, so he's slightly opened it over Junior, and it's 4.3 seconds that Aston Cow's off the lead. He's just slowly dropping back, but he's keeping the gap to Verver. It's still about 10 seconds, so yeah, interesting times now as we go along, but yeah, there's been such a interesting race, but I'll be interested to see when people go in for pit stops, because there are 15 minutes in now. Usually it's sort of around the halfway marks when a lot of people tended to pit in earlier rounds of the season, so we're keeping an eye out for about 25 minutes for when pit stops will start to come into effect.
There's not a whole lot of track, there's not a whole lot of high-speed corners on this track. Most of your corners here are going to be taken in about second or third gear, but this is a fairly abrasive surface on this much older racing track, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Miguel Lopez has his mirrors full of Anders Nilsson as they approach the back stretch. This is the front stretch of the old IndyCar oval, and they're side by side going into this heavy braking zone. Look at this. Miguel Lopez and Anders Nilsson. Who's going to get the advantage? Ooh, Nilsson does not quite have enough to take it on the outside. But, of course, he may try and do the up and under here. We'll see. He's staying right with him. This is great stuff for Anders Nilsson that we're seeing. Taking the fight right to Miguel Lopez, and Paul Watkins here. He's just biding his time, being very patient, not using a whole lot of his push-to-pass allotments, as you may have suspected, Thomas. But Miguel Lopez really has his work cut out for him. He's locked it up a couple of times, and that's allowed Anders Nilsson to close this gap. So this is a very good fight for fifth that we're seeing.
Yeah, indeed. Now, it's probably the closest fight of the race at the moment. It is 7/10 though between the leaders, so Junior's just closed it again. We'll keep an eye on that one for if they do start to make some passing manoeuvres. But the main fight is that sixth spot battle, and even actually behind that battle for ninth, Ognoski and Segal. They're actually very close indeed. I'm surprised Ognoski's under pressure from Segal. I would have thought he'd have better pace, but it seems Ognoski just not as pacey here at this round of the championship when compared to other rounds. And there's a big train behind John Higgin there in 11th, because I believe he's just past Razvan, and now they've got a big train. It's Dos Santos is in there, Joseph's in there, Conti's in there, and Brink's in there, Sosa's in there, so it's a big pack of about 6 or 7 cars, just the back end of or in the midfield, really, and they're all stuck behind them. Segal still pressuring that, pressuring Olkowski there for 9th, and it's still that battle for 5th spot. Lopez still holding on, but he is seeming to be under big pressure. Another lock up there into the right-handers, just gifting chances to Nielsen. He's really looking a lot more comfortable than Lopez, I think, Nielsen. He looks very, very comfortable with that car. And when you see series, he comes down the straight, he's not very close, and actually it looks to me like Lopez might be using a push to pass, I'd say, because he's just pulled away down the straight there, which indicates to me that might be a push to pass use. Could be wrong, of course. It's just me kind of taking a guess at what's going on there, because we can't just see whether they're using it or not, but did seem to pull away a bit there, which tells me it might be push to pass as defensive mechanism. Sorry, Watkins is actually kind of pressuring Nielsen here. So it's interesting to see a couple of blokes that you're not really used to being this far up, but having a nice race at the moment in 6th and 7th, so good stuff for them.
Very good impressions made by a lot of these drivers. Anders Nielsen, Paul Watkins. Also big shout-outs to Tal Siegel. He's been up there in the top 10. It's been an inconsistent season for him. Capit goes wide going out of the front stretch. They're still separated by less than a second, and that gap is still about 0.8 of a second between 1st and 2nd. So that fight for the lead is not over yet as Sergio Jr. continues to put on the pressure on the race leader, who still has a tall task.
Yeah, indeed. No, and we were just talking about, I reckon this commentator's cursed Seagal, because he's going around. He's down in 18th now. I'm just going through replay now, trying to find out what happened there. Let me have a look. Again, I really do have to adjust this replay length. Got it way too long, but let me have a look here at what happened. I'm thinking it was on his own. There you go. Just into the right-hander, just on the power too soon. Round he goes. I think he avoided contact with the wall, but he's come out behind that pack. He's down in 18th now, so a real shame for Seagal. He was looking really impressive behind Ognoski. So Ognoski's kind of handed a bit of a relief there, as he's now going to be on his own a little bit in front of John Higgin. And he's still leading that pack now that's for 10th now, thanks to Seagal's mistake. But that is a big old Trilly train, really. And they're all kind of stuck behind. It's now sort of Conti's got a bit of a pack behind him. He's just fallen a bit behind Joseph there. They're all fighting away. Again, see out to Razvan there and Walk 2 Racing. Hello, we have,
Whoa!
Junior. Oh, he's off. Is he off? Yeah, he's off.
He's off. Everything is happening at once.
Oh, and say, let's have a look, because he's kept ahead of us and Cal. But what happened there? I'll just go back and have a look. But this race is just throwing up everything, isn't it, RJ?
It certainly is. I saw Sergio Jr. make a move on the outside of Risto Capit, but just could not hold it together in that fast left-hand corner. It's a very tricky corner to set up. You're coming off the front stretch of the oval onto this. You're backing it down in the 3rd gear, really, to try and get the perfect line through that corner. And Sergio Jr. just ran way wide. If you think of the first turn of the Daytona Road Course, it's exactly like that. And Sergio Jr. had his chance to take the lead, and it is now almost completely unraveled. And Risto Capit now has a very, very comfortable lead of about 5 seconds over Sergio Jr. thanks to that one mistake.
Yeah, indeed. No, it's. I'm just looking. I've just seen. So Vito Sosa has just gone wide at the same spot as well, and so has Paul Joseph. He's made the same mistake down into that left-hander, and he's actually going to get past probably, or a bit of a battle going on. I think CA's got him. Seagal looks like he's got him. That position on Joseph, he now moves up to 16. But yeah, it's almost a few people making that mistake. But I mean, I was just watching back on the replay, and he gained on Junior gained on Capit so much. I suspect again it looked like it was another push to pass use, and he just gained so much on him with the slipstream and the push to pass that, as you say, I think he just wasn't prepared for just how much speed he had going to that corner, and so he had to adjust his braking point. He just didn't adjust it enough, and that's why he went wide. So. A bit of a shame for him, but he is still there in 2nd spot, and he did just gain a few tenths there on Capit, but that is a bit of a gap now that he has to haul back in, and knowing Capit, he'll just sort of control the race at this point, but we will see. I mean, Junior's shown some really good pace in that car, so we'll keep an eye on that for you, but yeah, there you go. So real dramas again. It's just this race has just been full of so many dramas, as Van Brink, by the way, is into pit lane. I suspect that'd be for the scheduled stop, so a bit earlier than halfway. It's a bit of an early stop for him, but he was in that pack, so perhaps he's trying to undercut the pack and just kind of beat them out, because there is still that kind of train of cars in that midfield, so he might be trying to be a bit tactical there, which would be my guess with Van Brink. But yeah, interesting stuff here is Anders Nielsen still on the back of Lopez. He's doing very well there, is the independent, and then Watkins is still behind. He's just dropped back a bit though, Watkins. He's actually slowly dropping into the clutches of Stenging behind, and that's Ognoski in 9th, who just seems to be tagging along to Stenging at the moment. But yeah, it's all interesting stuff as Capit now goes along to complete 12 laps now of this race now, as we're now 21 minutes in. And so look, 4.3, wow, Junior just cut half a second out of Capit there. Really impressive pace from him. And actually Asen Cow is pretty much going with him here. So Asen Cow is also closing. So I wonder if it's Capit, because they're sure. They're showing really good pace at the moment in those two cars.
They're using this teamwork to try and catch back up the leaders. Oh, a big moment there for both of the GhostSpeed racer cars. But you're right, they're using whatever kind of team tactics they can to try and reel in the race leader. And Sergio Jr. is flying at the moment. He was fastest in practice, he was fastest in qualifying, and now after a big mistake, he is trying to catch back up to the race leader. Well, we still have some pit stops left to go. You mentioned Theo Vanderbrink came in for a routine stop. He's now back out on track, and we may start to see some of the front runners come into pit lane at any point soon. Remember, we still have 28 minutes left to go in this race. Full tank of fuel will not hold it for these cars.
Yeah, indeed. No, sorry to just a little butt in there, but another little mistake there. He made a little mistake onto the back straight, and that's cost him some more time. Thankfully, he's in a bit of a space of his own right now. He's got a big space big gap to the guys ahead of about 10 seconds, and he's got another big gap of about, my phone just going off there, but another big gap of about 6 seconds or so back to Miguel Lopez. He's just going past one of the back markers there. As he just goes down the back straight, got out of the way nicely. The back marker didn't really impede him, so that's good to see. As Nielsen was picking up on that as well, and then Watkins, of course, staying Ognoski, and it's John Higgin at the moment who's rounding out the 10. But Razvan's holding on, which is interesting to see, because as I've said, he's been a bit off the pace this season. But he's showing good pace right now in 11th spot, so good stuff from him. And then Dos Santos, by the way, in 12th. So he's managed to make up a few spots from his qualifying position. And actually, Segal and Joseph are really going at it for that 15th spot. They're really having a nice fight. I would have thought Segal would have got away, but he just can't seem to gap Joseph. Does that cap it in? Yep, cap it in. Yep, there you go. So Risto Capit into pit lane. He's the first to flinch of the leaders. And that is interesting indeed. So I wonder how that will go. And I wonder, last round, of course, for those that watched the last round, you might remember that what did Sergio Jr. do last round? He held out long. He was one of the last to pit. So I wonder, is he going to do that same tactic again here?
Right, indeed. Let's see how far Sergio Jr. can stretch it. Risto Capit is going to get 4 fresh Pirelli P0 tires and a full tank of fuel, and then he's going to be off. He's going to be off pretty soon here. They're trying to pack it full of fuel here. I, of course, can't see the pit crew workers, but Capit is away. It was a fairly clean stop, and he's going to come out about 8th, 9th, 10th. He's going to come out in the middle of this pack here, so he's got a few cars to get around. But, of course, many of the leaders still need to take their pit stops. So Risto Capit is the first of the front runners to take their mandatory pits. It's not mandatory, but it certainly feels like it should be, with these cars not being able to get by a full 50-minute race on 1 tank of fuel. But Risto Capit going for the 4 tires here. We'll see what effect that has on his pace during the race. He should still be racy throughout the remainder of this great race.
Indeed, is by the way also staying also in a Dutch veteran racing car. He also pitted it along with Capit, and also Estebanez as well is in on the same lap. So those guys all pitting, and that is interesting. I'm really interested to see how this goes. As I said, Junior last time he really stretched the tyres, and unfortunately in the end it was he had to do about 2 or 3 pit stops. I think one of them may have been a pit lane speeding penalty, and the other one was actually, there you go, he's in. There you go. So he reacts straight away. So GhostSpeed this time around reacting straight away to Warp Racing's tactics. They're not going to stretch out long. As you can see, both Asencal and Junior in at the same time, line astern. And it'll be a battle of pit crews now for who gets out in front of who. And it'll be interesting to see here's also Verver's in. So everyone seems to be pitting. And look at even Lopez is in. Nielsen is also in. I wonder if Watkins is going to go in. No, Watkins stays out. That's interesting to see. So Watkins being the odd man out, not pitting. Will Ognoski pit? I'll just keep an eye on this. Nope, Ognoski staying out too. Higgins pitting, and then Capit, of course, is... No, Higgins, sorry, is getting passed by Capit, actually, sorry. But he was at the pit entrance, but I was getting a bit too excited. I get a bit of contact between those guys. Let's have a look now. Where does, where are they? Junior and Asencal come out. Junior's exiting now, beating his teammate at Asencal, so his pit crews do the job, and are they going to beat him out? Let's have a look here, as here comes Capit down the main straight now. He has beaten them, so there you go. So Capit keeping the lead. Of course, he had a nice gap before the stop, so it's not too surprising. But he does keep the lead. I'll be interested to see how that gap is as Nielsen comes out behind. And actually, Nielsen has beaten out... has he beaten out Asencal? Where is Asencal? Where is he? Asencal, there he is. Look how slow that stop was from Asencal. Even Verver and Nielsen have both beaten Asencal out, so a real slow stop from him has dropped him way down. And that is a big moment for him, as he was looking really solid in 3rd spot. And now look at that, he's way down behind Verve and Nielsen. That's got to be a good sort of 6th or 7th he'll be when the order comes out, and that's a real shame for Asencal, as he was having a really stellar race up until that point.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. No, Aston Cow's
South.
teammate Vitor Souza has spun right in front of him. So that gives Aston Cow a position. But it'll be interesting to see what held him up in the pits. Anders Nilsson has actually gotten out ahead of Gus Verver on the track. And right now, as it stands, Paul Watkin and Austin Ognoski are 1-2 on track. They've still yet to pit. Risto Caput has now gotten out in front of Sergio Jr. He's actually got a lead of about, if I'm correct, and I'm reading the screen, he's got about a 3-second gap. So Risto Caput has done the job, and most of these front runners are taking 4 tires and fuel. They're not really going with the fuel-only strategy. This is a fairly abrasive. So, oh, goodness, Aston Cow with a bold move on that Copenhagen Apex car right there. That was a bold move there, really close for comfort. And he's, of course, trying to make up all that track position that he lost in the pit lane.
Yeah, indeed. No, it was a slow stop from him as there goes Paul Watkins. He just comes in now for mighty fourth. Ognoski stays on. So Ognoski obviously thinking he's going to go long, which probably really is a fair call because at this point he's sort of on his own down in about 8th or 9th. And he's obviously thinking, well, I may as well just go long and see what happens. Maybe it will end up being an advantageous strategy. And really, when he's in his position, you may as well, because at this point, he won't be winning the championship from where his position would be, as Razvan and John Higgin are actually fighting there, just in front of Junior. And keep in mind that Junior, of course, is trying to catch back up to the back of Caput, and he's now actually about 6 seconds back, so he did actually seem to lose a little bit of time in that pit stop, so it'd be a shame for Junior. He's got a gap to reel in, but he's still got 22 minutes to go, so plenty of time for him to bring that back. Watkins now just exits pit lane. Seltzer and Sosa are just in now for their stops, as we'll see where Watkins come out. He's going to come out, he's actually come out behind Seagal, so he's actually been beaten out by Seagal, who remember had that moment, so he's come, although actually no, he may not have stopped, actually might be why he's been beaten out. I haven't actually seen Seagal pit, so that might be the reason. He has beaten Van Brink out, and Sting as well, who's actually dropped down. But Van Brink, that's interesting, he's come up a lot of spots there. He was down in the lower end of the midfield, but there he is now in 12th, so some net gains for him. But again, it might be because he didn't do a tyre stop. As look at that, Junior gets, oh yeah, I just saw that. Razvan and Junior, oh, he's off!
Wow!
Oh no!
Goodness,
Oh.
Sergio Jr. got pushed off the track there. They were fighting it out. Sergio Jr. dove down way wide. He looked to take about 2 spots before one corner, and now Junior has lost all that track position again, so he's got to catch up. Out of that exchange, John Hicken has moved into 3rd place. That was some very frantic racing.
Indeed, yeah, I'm just looking now at what's happened. So yeah, it looks like Tanese used a power to pass, and that is, all right, I'm gonna have to be impartial on this one. It's very, that was very, I don't know. I don't want to say anything because obviously, we've got to be, we don't want to react on emotion or react on the spot. But that did look a bit too aggressive from Razvan. He just seemed to make contact with Junior on corner entry, and that's why Junior went wide, because he got a bit of a touch under braking. And then Razvan's just given him a knock again as they've gone through the corner, and that sent Junior off. So I don't know. That was a bit aggressive in my mind. Maybe a bit too aggressive from the walkthrough racing driver. But again, this is in the heat of the moment. We can't really give a full judgment of what happened there. But that did look a bit aggressive from my mind from the walkthrough racing driver. Maybe a bit too much so. It looks like Junior's made the move now. He's made it past Razvan there, but that has lost him a whole bunch of time. He's lost about a good 7 seconds. He's now about 14 seconds behind Caput. So that's a interesting turn of events. I'm sure we'll possibly get some discussion after the race about that. But P1. Look at that, Caput now getting past his teammate Ognoski. Of course, Ognoski won't make it too hard because obviously, he's being a sister team, and obviously Caput fighting for the championship. I'm sure he won't make it too hard. So there you go. Ognoski gets out of the way for Caput pretty much there down the back straight. So Caput now re-inherits the lead. Obviously, Ognoski yet to pit. And that's interesting to see. So more dramas here throughout this race. This race has been just full of action, honestly. As Watkins, by the way, and Seagal having a battle for 10th there. So they're having a nice little fight. And actually Van Brink's just behind that as well. So they're all fighting away. But it's all very interesting as Andrew Harper at the back of there in 20th. He just pits now in the Williams Grand Prix Racing Cup. So just a little bit, just noticing there as I was going through the field. But I'll tell you what, this race, RJ, it's been one of the most controversial of this year by far, I'd say.
I'm just checking and seeing Ognoski is going into the pit lane. Risto Caput still leads. Gus Verver is going to move into 5th. And as they run now, if Caput wins the race and Verver finishes in 5th place, Gus Verver is going to win this championship by about 17 points over Risto Caput.
Ooh.
So he's still in that prime position to leave this race with the championship. Risto Kappa doing everything that he can to try and move back in front. And Verver's now moved up to third.
Indeed, yeah, what's going on here? That is interesting. Junior's has gone through a drive-through. So, looks like Junior has got a drive-through penalty from... And actually, I think... Oh, no, Rasman's pitting, but that is interesting. I just watched Junior. He just did a run through pit lane. He didn't stop. He just did a drive-through. So, he must have been given a penalty by the game at some point, maybe in that Rasman incident. So, that's yet again another hit to Junior's attempts at the championship here, as he now drops to 6th spot behind his teammate Asen Cow. So again, Junior just having another bit of a disaster race here after looking so promising. Has again had instances just sort of foul his chances of being in the championship hunt. He now drops to 6th place. That would put him by far out of the championship hunt now as he comes out ahead. Ognosky coming out 7th, by the way, having just pitted. So still in the top 10. Lopez 8th, Seagal and Watkins, they're fighting over 9th. Van Brink 11th, who's actually jumped his teammate Stenging in the pit stop. So some interesting stuff from Van Brink there. I'm interested to see if maybe he didn't take tyres. May explain why he gained so much time. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. That's Dos Santos, Conti, and that's Veneri there running at the top 15 with Razvan coming out 16th out of his stop. But interesting times here as Caput now leads. He's 14 seconds ahead of John Higgin. Of course, John Higgin yet to stop. He's running out very long in that Vito Nelix car, by far the longest running of the field now. It's nearly... I've only got 17 minutes left, and he's still going round, so Higgin really pushing these tyres out. It's interesting to see. Oh no, Nielsen's round. Oh, Nielsen, he was sitting in
trouble.
4th spot, and he's gone round. Yeah, that is massive shame for Nielsen. He'd done such an impressive race. It'd been near perfect, and round he goes. It's going to drop him to 7th, 8th. He's probably going to drop about 8th, I'd say, behind Lopez. Oh, he comes out. Ooh, nearly gets a bit of contact between himself and Groff and Lopez. They're all trying to sort of dodge around each other. But he comes back out 8th. He's still in the top 10. So, still up there, and this will still be one of his best results this season, but that's a real shame for Nielsen. Just, too much power. It looked like to me just a bit too much power too soon, and round he went, but a real shame there, Archos. He was looking very impressive in that independent car.
Right, indeed. Nielsen still in 8th, but he had been running up in 4th before that spin. And John Higgin up to 3rd. You remember the last race in Cordoba. I wasn't there for this, but I did know that Nitor Velis had a very difficult race. That's why we don't see Jake Cooper in this field. But John Higgin all the way up to 3rd. I know he's not made a pit stop, but this is quite an impressive recovery for that team after the difficulties at Cordoba. My goodness. Risto Caput has stretched this lead out to 16 seconds. This race has gone pretty much his way, except that his teammate Gus Verver is set to win the championship by running at 2nd.
Indeed, Verver's just playing the perfect counter strategy, isn't he, to Risto. I'm just looking back. I noticed Asen Cow has been another one to make a mistake. I'm just looking what happened. Oh, okay, he ran wide at the right-hander, and that's what cost him that moment, and that's why he's dropped back a little bit behind Higgin. And actually, Junior, I think, may have taken him there. Yeah, so Asen Cow has lost position to Junior, and that was just a moment on his own. He just went a bit wide onto the grass and unfortunately went round, and that lost him the spot to Junior, though he's right on the back of him. Interested to see if any team orders maybe come through. I wouldn't think so, as Junior, I think, would have a little bit more pace than Asen Cow. He has shown to be the case so far this race, so I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe just slowly gets away. But yeah, Caput leading at the moment, 16 seconds clear of Verver. It's another domination from the Estonian here again, for pretty much the 3rd round running, so it's looking like being his race. It's pretty much his to lose now as we enter the last 15 minutes of the race, as Verver holds on behind. Really, at this point, Verver's just got to stay on the track, really. He's got a big gap back to effective 3rd, which is going to be Junior when Higgins does his stop. So he's got a big gap behind, big gap ahead. He's just got to keep his head, keep it cool, take it nice and easy, and he'll have that championship in the bag. So really, it's one of your closer battles at the front. It's pretty much between the two GhostSpeeds, 4th and 5th, and also 6th and 7th. Lopez is on the back of Ognosky as he's trying to come back after that mistake earlier in the race. And then actually Nielsen's not too far behind that. It's a bit of a gap back to Watkins, who's just managed to gap Seagal. Actually, Stenging's managed past Van Brink, who's also coming out of the pump now from Dos Santos, and that's for 12th spot. But yeah, this race, it's been very interesting. Actually, even 16th, Razvan's under the pump from Paul Joseph there. So yeah, interesting stuff. It really has been drama-filled, this race, but it's all calmed down a bit now. As Cap's got a big lead now to Verver, and it's obviously Higgin yet to stop, and then Junior staying ahead of his teammate for the moment. But yeah, this race, it's been interesting so far, but we're all sort of calming down now. The mist has just settled a bit. We're all getting into the rhythm now, but this race, RJ, I don't think we could really have ended on any more of an exciting way for this season. It's just been full of drama.
And don't forget, there's still about 15 more minutes left to go in this race. Bristow Cap leads the race. Gus Verver is in position to win the championship in this third season of the Virtual Stock Car Championship. And for those of you watching, if you're interested in joining a racing club, joining a club event, or even a league yourself, you can always check out racedepartment.com. We have several leagues in many of the greatest and best racing sims, including Stock Car Extreme, including R Factor 2, Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, you name it. There's a league or a club in which you can participate in high-quality races such as this. And we've been proud to work with Race Department to bring you coverage of this Virtual Stock Car Championship all season. It has been a very, very fun and frantic season from start to finish. And I'm just waiting for this to build to a crescendo, because it's coming. We have less than 15 minutes left to go in this race, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out as these final laps tick down. Gus Verver, of course, in a great championship position. Of course, 10 minutes into this race, Nato Nascimento, who came into this race second, down by 9 points, crashed out. He will not get any points. He will fall way down the championship order, and that has pretty much ended his championship hopes. Whoa, big moment for Miguel Lopez running wide. He's ahead of Austin Agnoski in 6th place. So the running order in the top 5, Bristow Caput, Gus Verver, John Hicken, Sergio Jr., Fabio Asuncal. Then in 6th through 10th, Miguel Lopez, Austin Agnoski, Anders Nilsson, Paul Watkins, and Tal Segal runs out your top 10.
Indeed, and yeah, that was a pass made at the last corner. I was watching it when it happened, as Lopez just made a nice easy pass on Ognoski. Ognoski didn't really fight it too much. I think Ognoski knows that Lopez has got more pace, and he just decided, right, no point fighting a losing battle. I'll just make this, just let him go through, and I'll run my own race, and get some more solid points to finish the season. So probably some smart driving from Ognoski there, so good stuff from him. Nielsen's still behind him, by the way, and he's slowly catching him, but I don't know if he'll have enough time to make that move. Watkins sitting comfortably in 9th now on his own, which is good running from him. Again, that'll be a season best for Mighty Fourth, so great way for them to finish the season, I'm sure. Is actually, look at this, Segal for 10th under pressure from Stinging now. He's just coming back through here, Stinging, after losing a couple of positions in the pit stop phase. Having a look around the outside of the left hand, let's see how it goes. Oh, but very close, but they managed to avoid contact. Well done there. Stinging's going to hold it around the outside. He might actually get the move done. It'd be an impressive one if he does, but pulls out of it, just not quite confident enough to stick up the inside and make that move stick. But good stuff there from those two. Nice clean fighting from them here in these closing stages. They do have Dos Santos just behind them, by the way, and he has been slowly closing them in there in 12th there, which would bode well for his championship finish, to stay sort of in that top 10 or thereabouts as they go along. I'm just trying to look for any more shout-outs. Conti in 15th, by the way. It's good stuff for him, considering the qualified, I believe, about 23rd or 24th. He's up in 15th at the moment, so good stuff from the independent there. As look at this, here we go, Stinging around the outside of the final corner. It'd be brave if he doesn't there. It's not really where you'd do it, although he nearly does, but good stuff again from these two. Really close fighting, but really clean. No contacts, just really clean, really giving each other space, really respectful stuff. That's what we like to see here at Race Department in the series we have here. Stinging now down the inside turn 1. Oh, bit of contact. I was just saying about a contact-free battle, and they go into turn 1 and give each other a bit of a nudge there. So it's almost like they heard and he went, oh, wait, you want us to be a bit more physical? Okay, we'll be a bit more physical, but there you go. So Sting makes the move with a bit of force in the turn 1, but he makes the move stick, and moves up to 10th spot, and look at that, Dos Santos is just sitting back, waiting for it to kick off. Oh, Segal makes a bit of a hash brown on the left-handed there. It's going to gift Dos Santos a look down the inside. Oh, he has a look, but not able to make it stick, as these guys are having a right-old fight here for 10th spot, and even Van Brink's not too far behind. He's just dropped off the back, and they're actually not too far behind Watkins too, but this is a really interesting battle for 10th spot as we go along into the final 10 minutes now, final 5th of the race, and Kappa continues to lead 15 seconds clear of Gus Verver.
I'm looking at 3rd place, John Hicken. He is really struggling to hang on these tires. We mentioned that he's been stretching these tires out longer than any other driver. I think it may be time for his stop. We'll see what happens, and you were right about some of this great racing that we have. There's only 10 minutes left in this season, but by far, it does not necessarily mean that we are just running out of racing. We still got plenty left. John Hicken is actually coming into the pits now for his stop. He went about 40 minutes on this one set of tires. Let's see what he's going to do here. Doesn't look like any more tires are coming on. He's just going with a splash and dash, and then he'll be out. So he's going to try and keep this track position, although I'm not sure yet if he's perhaps put a bit too much wear. So maybe he's taking care of his tires particularly well, even after 40 minutes on one set. But it'll be interesting to see if he can keep this track position that he's gaining by staying out and taking fuel only.
And he's come out 8 spots. He's beaten out Paul Watkins just behind Anders Nielsen, but it'll be interesting to see that battle for 10th is still raging on. It's actually Dos Santos now has gotten past Segal and has stinging, so Segal drops down to 12th now, and that might just sort of disperse that battle, and that may mean they'll start to sort of catch on to Higgin. As I was going to say, before I noticed that they'd switch around, I was going to say that maybe if they battle, that might help Higgin stay ahead, but now that they've sort of sorted themselves out, that might mean Higgin will come under the pump from them later in the race, but we'll keep an eye on that. He's got a bit of a gap to Watkins, but again, as we said, he didn't take on tyres, and he's been on those 42 minutes now, so there's a long stint on those tyres, and they will be very, very worn indeed. So I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to fall into the clutches of Watkins, and Stinging as well being clear now. He'll be starting to pump in some good laps, as he's shown good pace in that car, so keep an eye out for him. But Cappett's still leading, 15 seconds. Verver's closed in a little bit, but that's probably because Cappett's just easing it off now with 8 minutes to go. We're just going to keep it on track. And Verve's got about 15 seconds back to Sergio Jr. there in 3rd spot. Still a good result to finish the season for Jr. With the podium finish, I'm sure he'd be happy with that if he can finish there. Aston Cow's just behind him in 4th. Again, another nice result for him. I'm sure again he'll be happy with the top 5 finish. Lopez is in 5th. This is again another good result for GhostSpeed in the team championship, 4th and 5th, although Walk Racing 1 and 2, so not going to really gain anything in that aspect. Lopez is running wide. Ognosky's 6th, just behind him, just hanging on the back of Lopez. It's just been sort of hanging on the back of him this stint. And then it's Nielsen, Higgin, and Watkins, and then Stinging in 10th, with Dos Santos just behind him, just into the back of him so far. Then Segal and it's Venieri in 13th, a good result for him so far. Nice consistent race, just staying out of trouble, and getting some good points here for him. And the Honeybacker Racing car, he's got Theo de Van der Brink behind him in 14th, and that's Conti in 15th. He's got Razvan and Paul Joseph behind him. That's a big old battle for 15th. So Razvan, has a bit of a slide through the corner and has a bit of a moment right in front of Joseph. Joseph does well to avoid contact there, so Joseph now up to 16th from Razvan in 17th. And it's Seltzer, the American independent. Bit of a quiet race for him so far. He's been sort of at the back end of the pack in 18th in this one, so a bit further down on pace here compared to last round. And it's Estebanez there in 19th, the independent. And it's 20th is Vitor Sosa. Sam Smith is 21st, though he's just gone wide. That's going to hand 21st to... he's in another part of the track, don't worry. But Sam Smith's just going wide there, but he stays 21st. And then it's Lesecki there is 22nd, Van Overen 23rd, Groth 24th, and Harper rounds out your field of runners at the moment in 25th. Van Overen just goes off in 23rd there, just a mistake, I believe, on his own. But yeah, there you go. So everyone going along still. We have 6 minutes to go. A race. Just like it's done throughout the season.
All right, so we have just over 5 minutes left to go in this race. And Risto Caput from the front row, he has taken command of this race. He has done his part that he needed to do. And Gus Verver, who was the winner in the first round in Cascavel, he is closing in on that Season 3 championship for Block Racing. Block Racing set to take 4 of the 5 victories this year if they hold as they are today, with Caput in first, taking his 3rd win to close out the season, and Verver taking the championship after, as well as that first win of the season in Cascavel. The time is winding down, and of course, Mr. C is sensing that another sim racing championship is about to head his team's way. They participate in all the major leagues, and this is going to be another feather in the cap for the Walk Racing team if they can put the final finishing touches on this championship run. We still have 4.5 minutes left to go, and they're feeling it. They're feeling that they are just about ready to put the finishing touches on this championship and come away with all the spoils here in this race.
Yeah, indeed, no, it's looking like it's going to be a bit of a fairy tale finish to a 1-2. It's looking like being to finish off the season. What has been really a dominating season from the Walk Racing crew. Caput leading at the moment, and he's got this win looking like it's going to be sorted. A 3rd win of this season. Just amazing pace and consistency and just all-around perfect racing from Caput, really. He's had the perfect race here while all his competitors have all had their issues and all had their problems. He's just stayed in the clear, kept his head together and kept his head in the game, and there he is leading at the moment by 14 seconds. But as we said, Verver looking like it'll be the championship. Oh, P6 apparently it's going off. Yep, nice spot from our cameraman there, Davy Vandevenne. Lopez just retaking Ognosky. I did notice about a lap ago, Ognosky took Lopez there, and that was probably through push to pass, because he did catch him from quite a ways back, which told me it was a push to pass use. So Lopez just getting back past for 5th. That's one of your closer battles there, and that's Nielsen 7th. Higgin 8th. He's actually holding on at the moment, and actually holding at the back of Nielsen, which you can see. But Watkins is closing in, slowly but surely. He's now closing on the back of him with 4 minutes to go. And it's actually a battle for 10th now. It's between Dos Santos and Stinging, and they're battling over that last spot in the top 10. Seagal has dropped off the back of that, and even Veneeri and Van der Brink actually as well are fighting over 13th, so a whole bunch of battles going on throughout the field. So as we said, it's still going on, even though we're in the last couple of minutes of this season. The battles are still raging on and all the way to the checkered flag, so it shows us how great the racing has been here this season. As Lopez makes a mistake at the final corner, that almost hands Ognoski a chance. He has a look, but doesn't able to make the move sick, but Lopez holds on. Ognoski is right behind him. He wants to get that top 5 to finish off the season. Actually, Anders Nielsen's not too far behind that, so if they keep fighting, Nielsen might even have a bit of a say in that if he can close the gap in the last few minutes. Oh, yep, into the first corner.
Look at that. Miguel Lopez still has his mirrors full of Austin Ognoski. Oh, ahead. This is fantastic stuff. We have 2.5 minutes left, and it's not settling down for a minute, Thomas.
No, indeed, it's not. Just a little ooh there, because I know stinging has gone round. Sorry, again, I really did need to adjust this replay speed. It's just far too much, because I have to fast forward through all of it. But I'll just have a look what happened here, because stinging, I noticed, had gone round at the final corner, so I wonder if that was on his own or not. I'm just about to come up on what happened. Let me have a look. Oh yeah, on his own, right. He hits the wall pretty heavily too, but just on his own there, just getting a bit too much on the outside and into the grass, and that just sends him round. Holds on to, he actually drops down to 12th now, so Seagal there finding a position thanks to Sting's mistake. Actually, Joseph there just going wide as well, just noticed down in 15th, but yeah, there you go. So a little bit of a mistake in the latter stages, but he still holds on to 12th spot, which I'm sure will be a good way to finish for him, that Dutch veteran racing car. Lopez holding on to 5th spot at the moment, 2 minutes to go. Oh, hello, Asen Cow, I just quickly changed him, and he's got a little bit of a slidey moment on the exit of one of the corners there, but he holds on to 4th at the moment. Still Capit though, leading at the moment, 14 seconds clear of Gus Verver. And it's a bit of a big gap back to Junior, and he's got clear Asen Cow, and that's Lopez, so GhostSpeed 3-4-5 at the moment. As Lopez now still having to hold on from the back of Ognolski now, as he's still pressuring him as we enter what will be probably 2 laps to go, I would say. That could be this lap, maybe one more, so it might be either 2 or 3 laps to go now in this race. And Ognolski all over the back of Lopez. As we said, it's still going, even though we're in the latter stage of this race. This battling just keeps on going on.
Right, Capit actually crossed the line at 1:48 left to go exactly, so it may be 2 laps left to go in this race. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll probably have 2 laps left to go in this race. So Risto Capit is sensing that he is about 2 laps away from his 3rd victory in a row to close out the season. And you almost have to wonder, and you never want to dwell on shortcomings, but you have to wonder what would happen if Capit was not disqualified from the pre-qualifying session that set him down in Server 2 to start the season, and he had to fight his way all the way back up to the front. He's got 3 wins in a row this season. You have to wonder how different the complexion of this championship would have been had it not been for that. But this is still an admirable fight back for Risto Capit to get up. He'll probably get as high as 2nd in the championship for his efforts, and that is more than admirable. The seconds are winding down in this race. We have 5, 4, 3,
Might not be one more.
There may not be one more.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be it. Yeah, there you go. Just runs out.
There it is.
Oh no, there is one more. There is one more. Right. Okay. We're getting very excited here, people. It's all getting to us, the excitement. But yes, we have 1 more lap to go, and it'll be 28 laps this race in the end. But yeah, as you were saying there, Archer, just even though of the dramas that happened at the start of the season, it's still a very good performance from Capit. 3 wins from 5 rounds. That is just amazing stuff, really, RJ.
Blistering consistency. When he is on his game, I believe that there is no driver in this championship that is better than Risto Capit. But say something here for Gus Verver, who is on his championship lap now. Almost pulled a Bjorn Bergheim there. A bit of a moment there, almost calling the race 1 lap early. But Gus Verver is on his championship lap. He has been one of the most consistent drivers all season. And he...
Sorry, I was just I thought it was lag for a moment. Sorry, I was just gonna say, Steying has just crashed out, unfortunately, in the last lap. So a real shame for him. Unfortunately, crashing out there at the last lap of the race. But yeah, sorry, just something I noticed there as it flashed on my screen. But yeah, there goes. You say Capit, just, if it hadn't been for that pre-qualifying, as you said, what if? Just the what ifs. There's a real what if that I'm sure Capit's considered. He's considered going, well, what if I wasn't disqualified? I would be in the championship hunt. I wouldn't be surprised if he probably have won this championship if it hadn't been for that pre-qualifying, that quick pre-qualifying disqualification. But here he is in the last few corners, just coming off in a few more back markers, just to finish off. I'm sure they won't make it, or won't get in the way here, but just about to finish off the last race of the Virtual Stock Car Championship. It has been, there's been something else this championship. It has been an absolute joy to commentate on. I've been delighted to bring you guys this broadcast, or these broadcasts. Yep, so here we go. As Capita bounce across the line, he's coming out of the final corner now. He's going to win the final race of the season here. Fantastic drive yet again from the Estonian. Another flawless run for him as he wins the final race of the season. It won't be enough for the championship though. He'll have to go second because here he comes, the championship winner, Gus Verver. He's going to win the Virtual Stock Car Championship Season 3. Fantastic stuff from him. Just consistency, really. Just pure consistency was won him that. Fantastic stuff from Gus Verver there. Take that one. Sergio Jr., which is coming up now into the final corner. He's going to take the third spot. And another one of those kind of what could have been, if he hadn't have been involved in that incident, if he hadn't have had that drive through, what could have been of his race. But he'll still take home a podium, finish off, so a good finish for him for this season. Although, he's slowing down a lot there as he goes across the line. He will take it though. Oh no, Aston Cow's spun on the final corner. So he's just spun it on the straight. He's going to have to flick it around now. Hopefully he won't have any contact. No, he's managed to avoid contact, but a bit of a moan for Aston Cow on the final. Actually, is he... Oh no, Aston Cow stalled it. Oh no, there he goes. He's finally got back going. That's going to hand Lopez fourth spot. So Lopez takes fourth. And will Opnoski take him? Oh, not quite. Opnoski not quite able to take him. Nearly did though. 2/10 in the end, but Lopez takes fourth. So.
My goodness, what a finish.
Oh yeah, Aston Cow there giving us a nice little bit of a moment to finish off. I tell you what, this race has just been unbelievable. But there you go, Aston Cow takes fifth. Ognoski takes sixth, so, considering how his race was looking with qualifying pace, a decent finish for him. And Nielsen, seventh place for him, the Swedish Independent. Great stuff for him, a best result for him for this season. John Higgin held on to eighth, so that long stop strategy for him really worked out. So great stuff for Higgin there to take eighth in Nito Alex. A good way to finish what has been a turbulent season for them. Paul Watkins takes ninth for Mighty fourth. Again, that's the season best finish for their team, so great stuff from him. Really good race in the end. Dos Santos takes 10th. For him, so again did manage to come up from his qualifying position. Well done. Segal takes 11th for the Redshift Racing team. Veneri 12th, Brink 13th, and I believe running out your top half of the field is Paul Joseph in the second Mighty 4th Racing Car.
Unbelievable stuff that we have seen in this Virtual Stock Car Championship this year. Risto Caput, the race winner for the third consecutive time, and Gus Verver, who had an early spin in this race, mind you. I thought at the time that there may have been some trouble, but indeed, Gus Verver kept his head, and when Nato Nascimento crashed out with 10 minutes into the race, it blew this championship wide open, and Verver is going to come away as the third champion of this Virtual Stock Car Championship on Race Department. What a season, and what a way to end it, with Walk Racing standing atop the leaderboards as they have for most of this year. They won their fourth race as a team, and Gus Verver takes the championship out of all of it. What a season.
Oh, I think that's the word, really. That's the phrase, just what a season. We'll just quickly round out the field. Brian Setzel got 15th, and it was Mark Conti in 16th, though apparently DNF, so he obviously had a disconnection right on the final lap. He still classifies because he was a lap ahead of the guys behind, but a bit of a after an interesting race, 16th though. It's good stuff from the Independent, considering he started down the field. Rasman there in the second Walk 2 Racing, he gets 17th, so good stuff from him. Estebanez, 18th, and it's Vito Sousa there, 19th in the second GS Racing car. Sam Smith, the Aussie for 100, he gets 20th. Lasecki there, Jeff Lasecki, the Independent, gets 21st. And Alan Groth rounds out your finishes in 20th. Copenhagen Racing, and then your retirements in the final couple of laps. Real shame for him as he was looking good field finish. Andrew Harper did end up retiring, unfortunately, again in the last couple of laps with a crash, I believe it was there, so he does not finish. Actually, Van Overen does classify 3 laps down in 25th, so he does finish. So he was one that finished there. He was just behind the lap of the guys ahead of him who crashed. And then Nito Nascimento, one of the shock retirements early in the race there, 4 laps in. He unfortunately finishes the season on a real down note for him. So unfortunately, great season up until the last couple of rounds, a bit of a down in the last round, only getting 10th spot, and then unfortunately retiring here. But still, great pace for him and some great races for him throughout the season. And of course, Fernand Anderson disqualified at the start of the race for reasons which we still don't know. So I'm not really sure what happened there. But again, I'm sure the race. But yes, there you go. That is the end of the third season here of the Virtual Stock Car Championship. Just seeing if anyone else wants to come in for an interview, but no one else is in, although our usual man, he's always in for an interview. So fantastic stuff from you, John, to always coming in for an interview for us when no one else seems to want to come in, weirdly. I don't know why. Is it because they don't want to be interrogated by us? Are we that intimidating? I don't know. Who knows?
They may be celebrating. They may be celebrating championships.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they probably are celebrating championships, celebrating top tens or top fives in the championship. So, credit to those guys. But we will, as you're in here, John, we will give you a little interview here. So, I guess straight away, great result for you. You stayed out till right to the very end, a really long first stint, but you came home eighth. So I think the strategy worked. But how was that race for you?
Yeah, strategy worked pretty good. It was sort of on the fly, really. I haven't done really that much practice for this race after my shocking performance at Cordova. This one, I thought, go as deep as possible, because that's one of the things we always do as a team is to go deep as hard as possible. So I think, well, you can take your own meaning from that if you want, but it seemed to work. Because when I come into the pits, it was just a little trickle of fuel that was put into the car, so it seemed to do a pretty good job. I was surprised to come out. I think I went in before the pit stint. I was 11th, and I come out in 8th, so the strategy definitely worked. Oh, God, sorry. Get off it! Oh, there's a cat jumping around the room. You don't get these problems on telly, do you?
No.
Oh my goodness, that was a fantastic race, and really a great way to rebound from the struggles that your team had in the last round in Cordoba. Were you very proud of the way this season finished, especially just a week after that tough weekend race before?
Yeah, it was a really tough weekend last weekend with Jake dropping out the championship. And I had a really, really poor result, probably the worst result I've ever had in sim racing. I was absolutely kicking myself after the race, But, drop race, so the rules should work in my favour with that one. So that result should get scrubbed from the records, thankfully. I didn't want that, knocking around in history. It was absolutely shambolic for me. But today, I'm glad I did pretty well today, actually. I didn't think I'd do as well as I did. I was definitely aiming for a top 10, and I'm glad I got it. So it's some good solid points for the team, and I don't think it'll put us ahead of GhostSpeed for the final standings. But I think we've had a pretty good shout considering that Jake's missed 2 races, and yeah, I think we could have done better. There's places that we could have done better, but we'll definitely be back for the next season, and we've got our eye on the virtual touring car season as well. So. Be interesting to see what the front wheel drives do. I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Indeed, no, and I guess just to round off quickly, just a quick one here to finish off. What is next for you guys? I guess you just mentioned there the touring cars. You'll be looking into them, but anything else you guys looking at for here? Not just here at race department, but at other leagues as well.
Oh, I don't know. Because the touring cars are way on in September, so we're sort of looking around at the moment. Probably be thinking maybe Formula Truck or. I know Jake's got his eye on a set of Corsa leagues wherever he can get them. But until they make the game a bit more refined, I think we might not dip into that. But other than that, I mean, we'll probably shop around at race department, see what we can find, and hopefully we can get some really good results for Nita Velox, especially with our debut season coming out pretty well. I think,
yeah.
Well, Jake's usually at the front anyway. He's a quick guy, but I think we both agreed that I've surprised myself more than anyone. I've surprised him. I've done a lot better than I thought I was going to do. So I'm really chuffed with the result this season.
Fair enough. It was some great driving for you, some really good results, and it's always good to sort of chalk yourself some better pace than you're expecting. So thank you again, John, for coming in for interview as you always have throughout the season. Been fantastic to have you on the broadcast for some questions, and hope to see you again here at Race Department very soon.
Anytime. Take care.
Well, thank you very much, John. So now the other man who's coming for interview once again. A race winner from here, the final round of the season and 3 rounds of the season again. We've just mentioned, what would have happened if it wouldn't have been for that pre-qualification disqualification. Wow, that sounds like a real mouthful, that does. But anyway, but after all that, what could have been Risto? But here you are again, another dominating race for you. But just looking behind, all your rivals had problems, wasn't it? It all kind of fell together for you, didn't it, during that race? But how was that for you, Risto?
Yeah, it's an extremely hard track, especially with these cars whole season. They are very hard to drive. They understeer quite a lot aerodynamically, so you need to have quite a dangerous setup. And with all this torque there, you want to spin very bad. And especially on this track, the tire wear is bad, so everything is difficult. So I had a few moments as well, but I knew I just had to keep it together. And yeah, I think like 5 people spun behind me, and I was playing Junior a bit. He was using more power to push the bus. But yeah, in the end, it was quite easy and very good.
You've been making a number of great starts from the front of the field, and especially, what were your feelings as the race started, and how important do you feel that was to get a clean start and separate yourself away from the field early so that you're not caught up in this mess?
Extremely. I did quite some work. I quite some settings to do this start, and it's very important. I had pretty bad qualifying, missed my personal best by quite a few tenths, and so yeah, it was very important to get ahead and to get the gap just to control it yourself. It's a very big thing, and yeah, I paid quite a bit of attention to it. That did work to get this good start, and it paid off, I'm sure.
Yeah, indeed, no, very true. It was definitely a very big factor there in getting that early start and getting clear of all the things that happened throughout the start of the race. But now we look to the future, of course. Of course, now that this series is over, what are you looking for in the future? Obviously, I know you're doing some stuff at GPVWC. I know that obviously because that's where I'm a part of that league too. So I know you're doing Super Cup over there. But for you, aside from that, what other leagues are you looking at? Not just here at Race Department, but elsewhere as well.
Yeah, at the moment I'm doing 2 leagues in GPWC, but this is a question to our boss, Bogdan. But yeah, I'm very happy about how this turned out. Usually a race department for me is a place for fun leagues and stuff, but this is completely different, very professional, very great streams and stuff. So I'm very happy, and I'm sure our boss will be as well with the presentation our team got. And yeah, maybe if there will be some new leagues here, we'll stick around. That's for him to decide and where he puts his drivers. It's a big organization. But yeah, this game stock car for me, it's a new platform and it feels pretty good. And yeah, I'll see whatever comes up. I'm pretty happy about how this went.
Risto, it has been an absolute pleasure to watch you drive all season. 3 wins to close out the season. You have been one of the fastest drivers that we have seen. Certainly a pleasure to watch you, and really my first time ever calling a sim race, especially in an environment like this. You did very well. We hope to see you again next time.
Yeah, thanks to you too.
Thank you very much, Risto. Thanks for coming in again, interview. And yeah, there you go. So that is the end of the interviews, and that is the end of the season. It feels weird to think that it's all over after all that, all the carnage and the drama and the battles and just everything. It's all come to a close here, season 3 of the Virtual Stock Car Championship. But I guess now we come to our closing comments. So RJ, for you to finish off the season, what are your final words for us?
Really unbelievable stuff that we have seen all season long. Going into the pre-qualifying session, we expected to see a lot of very top-notch drivers, and there really were a few that really separated themselves from the pack early. Your Risto Capits, your Gus Ververs, your NATO Nascimentos, and the like. And as we saw the season go on, I wasn't prepared for the first race of the season to kick off with such a high level of excitement. That really set the bar for what to expect for this virtual stock car championship. It is a phenomenal championship that all the people at Race Department, everybody from Andrew James to Davy Vandevenne to Frank Van Overen, everybody who's played a part in making sure that this championship has gone just the way that it has is truly phenomenal. I've been a passenger and a commentator to some of the best racing that I've seen in quite some time. And the question is now, what's next? What is next for these drivers? What's next for these teams? What's next for us as commentators? I've got a virtual BMW race to call on Wednesday. So time doesn't stop for myself, but it has been an absolutely great season, and certainly one that's going to leave a permanent memory in my mind, as hopefully get to have more opportunities such as this.
Yeah, indeed, no, very true. I echo that sentiment. I think pretty all the way. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to do this. I really have enjoyed this immensely. It's been so much fun, so many good battles, and really I think it's been one of the most exciting series I've been a part of, really, in terms of commentary and just generally just watching. It's been unbelievable stuff. So definitely some great stuff. We saw some great racing, of course. Walk Racing taking the crown. They'll be taking double crown, the team's championship and the drivers championship, and a 1-2 at that as well. I'm sure that Mr. C will be very, very happy with how that all played out for them. Some good stuff as well, of course, to GhostSpeed as well. They had some good races and showed some good pace throughout the season. And as well, obviously, Mighty Fourth as well, Nito Velix as well, and some few of the independents. Really, as a whole, everyone in their field had their moment throughout the season. So it was really fantastic stuff to see. But it has been an absolute pleasure for me to call this, and it's been amazing to have you beside me, RJ, and as Roy as well, of course, who filled in last round. Fantastic stuff from him. And of course, I always mention it, but Davy on the cameras always does an amazing job for us on the cameras. He's such a vital part of